Morning to our guests from Turkey and good afternoon to our guests from Malaysia. I would like to welcome you all to our CUBE Global Talks webinar, where we will discuss the business prospects for Turkish startups that are willing to internationalize and consider expanding into Asia Pacific, and more specifically, looking to the Malaysian markets and advanced technology startup ecosystem. Let me shortly introduce myself. I'm Ozan Evren, and I'm the team leader for Business Development and Global Programs Department at Cube Incubation of Technopark Istanbul, where we assist and encourage Turkish startups to scale their businesses to an international level. Following this short introduction, let me introduce our speakers. In today's 1 hour long webinar, I and Mr. Muhammad Ali from Malaysia Airports will be the moderators for this webinar. We will start with Mr. Bilal Tokçu, General Manager of Technopark Istanbul, and following his speech, we will have three speakers from Malaysia, Mr. Randil Singh, Head of Malaysia Airports, Mr. Safwan Mohit Zahiri, Chief of Ecosystem Development Division at Miranti, and Mr. Syed Kamal Muzaffa, Director for Advanced Technology and R&D Division at Malaysian Investments Development Authority. Following the presentations of our speakers, we will have a Q&A session, and we are asking our audience to raise their questions in the comments section. Being very excited about our webinar today, I would like to leave the floor to Mr. Bilal Tokçu, General Manager of Technopark Istanbul. Thank you.
Thank you, Ozan. Dear guests, Technopark Istanbul and Malaysian Advanced Technology Ecosystem representatives, I would like to welcome you to our event exploring Malaysia's advanced technology and startup ecosystem and growth opportunities for Turkish firms, the second of our CUBE Global Talks webinar series. First of all, I would like to inform you briefly about Technopark Istanbul. We positioned Technopark Istanbul as the deep technology center of Turkey in 2022. Since our establishment in 2010, we've been contributing to an ecosystem where R&D activities, innovation, and technological production processes are supported, as well as increasing cooperation between academia, industry, and entrepreneurs. Technopark Istanbul's own ecosystem includes deep technology entrepreneurs, R&D engineers, corporates, and universities. As of now, this ecosystem hosts more than 430 companies, 2,700 national projects, and is home to more than 8,000 R&D engineers and personnel. In the 2020 patent performance list published by the Patent Effect, we became the Technopark that hosts the most patented initiatives in Turkey with 63 entrepreneurial companies. Our 63 startup companies, 34 of which were supported within the scope of our tech support program, which enabled us to rank first, continue their activities in fields such as electronic, software, and health. We, as Technopark Istanbul family, aim to contribute to the technological and economic development of our country and the world, while supporting our entrepreneurs in CUBE incubation in any level that they need, whether it is the idea, pre-incubation, incubation, or globalization stage of their life cycle. In line with this goal, we find it very important to establish various collaborations with different countries in order to share the highly added value and corporate know-how with the world, provided by all our valuable entrepreneurs that we support in the deep technology field. So, in this context, within the framework of the MOU we signed with Malaysia Airports Holding Berhad, we are eager to take the work we've been doing in recent years with the technology leaders of the precious Malaysian country to the next step. Within the scope of previous cooperation work, we agreed to cooperate on sharing know-how for building and developing technology zones, exchanging ideas and technology-based practices in the aerospace industry, and sharing experiences mutually on know-how in the incubation and acceleration process. For the future, we would like to strengthen our relationship in order to ensure the mutual development of highly qualified talents and startups with the potential, and to encourage partnerships and collaborations in innovation and deep technology initiatives mutually. We are confident that in this webinar today that we have organized in line with all these intentions, our entrepreneurs will be informed about Malaysia's technology and startup ecosystem and will be motivated to do business in Malaysia. I would like to thank to the valuable participants in advance, Mr. Singh, Mr. Zairi, and Mr. Kamal Muzaffar for their participation. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bilal, for the opening speech. Now I will leave the floor to Mr. Mohammed.
Hi, Merhaba and Gunaidin. I hope I pronounced that right. I am Muhammad from Malaysia Airports, and as introduced, I will be co-moderating this webinar together with Mr. Ozan. First of all, on behalf of Malaysia Airports and the rest of the Malaysian speakers, we thank Mr. Bilal very much for the opening remarks, and on behalf of Malaysia Airports, we are extremely honored with this partnership with Technopark Istanbul. And we hope that our alliance will help the local aerospace industry in Malaysia to become a holistic and integrated nexus for economic growth, technological development, and global competitiveness. And not only that, we hope this alliance will serve as a bridge for technology exchange and high quality investments between both Malaysia and Turkey. So we'll now move on straight to the first speaker, which is Mr. Syed Kamal from Malaysian Investment Development Authority, MIDA, better known as MIDA. Just a brief background before I proceed to give the floor to Mr. Syed. So MIDA is the Malaysian government's principal investment promotion and development agency under the Ministry of International Trade and Industry (MITI) to oversee and drive investments into the manufacturing and services sectors in Malaysia. While with regards to Mr. Syed Kamal himself, he has 20 years of experience in the oil, gas, and petrochemicals and soft commodities downstream business. And having joined MIDA in 2016, he is a very strong advocate for the strengthening of Malaysia's investment ecosystem, including access to funding and technology adoption. So without further ado, the floor is yours, Mr. Syed, for your presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Alif. Also, on behalf of MIDA management, I would like to thank Technopark Istanbul and MASB for inviting MIDA to participate in this webinar, which is very much of our interest to promote the investment into the country. Yeah. So today I will speak on the investment promotion and facilitation in the advanced technology and R&D sectors in Malaysia. Yeah. So over here, let me briefly go through what is MIDA. So MIDA is basically the government's principal investment agency, yeah, in promoting the development of the manufacturing and services sector in Malaysia. We are waiting for the screen share there.
Mr. Syed, is everything okay? We can see the slides.
Can you see the slides? Okay, all right.
Yep.
Okay, so MIDA is basically the government's principal investment promotion agency for the development of the manufacturing and services sector in Malaysia. So we do the end-to-end facilitation to facilitate investments, the investors, both foreign and domestic investors. So we started with the promotion activities, and we do the evaluation and approval of the projects, both within the manufacturing as well as manufacturing-related services sector. And then we also support the development of talent management. And we do the implementation for the projects. We have our offices throughout the country. We have all offices in all states in Malaysia to provide the facilitation and support to the investor. And we also evaluate the tariff application by investors for their equipment and machineries or raw materials to bring into the country. And we provide all the licensing, the manufacturing license, as well we do the post-investment facilitation to companies. So basically there's a broad-based scope of MIDA end-to-end facilitation to promote investment into the country. So we has established a global network in attracting foreign investors. So we have 20 overseas offices, yeah, throughout the...
Sorry, Mr. Said. I believe actually Mr. Omar is controlling your slides actually. So if you can, like when you are moving on slides, can you just perhaps
next,
trigger him saying like next or something?
Okay, all right. Yeah. So next. Okay, so we have established 20 overseas offices. So we are in United States with 3 location states. In Europe, we have in London, Stockholm, Munich, Frankfurt, Milan, and Paris. And we also have our offices in Middle East, as well as in the South Asian region. Next, our target, we're going to have our office in Istanbul. So this session is just perfect for MIDA, you know. So we're going to open up our office in Istanbul before year end. So these are basically our offices abroad, all the 20 locations that we have throughout the globe. Yeah. So next, okay, we provide this kind of approval for investors. We provide the issuance of manufacturing license. So under the Act, any companies operate in Malaysia with paid capital more than 2.5 million and employee more than 75, they are required to apply for manufacturing license from MIDA. If they don't meet the threshold level, they still have to come to MIDA for the exemption of the manufacturing license. So that's where we start in getting the database of the company investing in Malaysia. And we also provide incentive, particularly the tax incentive and the fiscal incentive to companies, depending on the industry they are in, whether it's under the promoted sector or under the general sectors. There are incentives available for the investors. And we also provide exemptions, custom duty exemptions for the importation of materials as well as machinery. And we also do processing for expatriate posts. Yeah, next. So basically, these are the summary of what we do. We do the promotion, we do all the approval needed for the investors, and we monitor the project implementation under the Project Acceleration and Coordination Unit, which we call it as PACU in a short form. Next. So this basically PACU. PACU basically we keep track all the progress of the investment application until the realization of the investment. So we want to make sure investors be getting the first-hand support and assistance from various agencies within the government, so that you can start your project as soon as possible. Yeah, next. So basically, on top of those base fundamental roles, we also do added services to investors. We provide the post-investment support. We also help the industry to match with the talents available in the market. We have cooperation with local institutions, talent agency, and we also have in terms of outsourcing for local companies, and we also encourage companies to adopt for the new technology industry for. Next.
Flow of the presentation.
So on the technology front, so Malaysian government has identified 10 science and technology drivers for the Malaysia economic growth. Yeah. So we are talking about internet, 5G, 6G, sensor technology, 5D, 4D printing, advanced materials, advanced intelligence systems, cybersecurity and encryption, augmented analytics and data recovery, blockchain, neurotechnology, as well as bioscience technology. These are the 10 science and technology drivers that have been identified by the government, and MIDA is working closely towards in promoting investment into these technology drivers sectors. Yeah, next. Okay, so basically on the specific industry, then these are the sectors that we are focusing on in terms of manufacturing. We under the 3+2, 3+2+1 sector, we are focusing on the catalytic sector, the E&E, the petroleum and petrochemicals, and the promoted sector like medical devices, pharmaceuticals, and aerospace. Yeah, in terms of the manufacturing. And for the services, we are focusing more on the principal hub. We are focusing on the tourism sector, as well as healthcare and educational institution. Next. And these are the broad-based incentives that we are giving to investors. It can last for 20 to 25 years, depending on the qualification. So we give pioneer status to companies up to 70% from 70% to 10% for a period of 5 years on the income tax exemption, especially for those investing in the promoted sector like aerospace technology, medical devices, healthcare. These are the promoted sectors. So the companies are entitled for pioneer status up to between 5 to 10 years. Yeah. And we also allow the investment tax allowance, we call it ITA. But they are mutually exclusive. Yeah? You either choose either one of it. You cannot be enjoying both. And then we also give a reinvestment allowance, 60% of the qualifying capital expenditure for 15 consecutive years. On top of the basic standard package, we also have customized package depending on the requirements of the investors. Includes some grants wherever we have high impact fund to provide training and to encourage R&D activities. Yeah. And also the past 2 years, we have been promoting the special incentive for companies to adopt Industry 4 technology, and mainly to cater for the domestic players rather than international players. Yeah. Next. And on our part, as particularly from the Advanced Technology R&D division, we also promote the R&D activities. So this is in line with the definition under the Promotion Investment Act 1986. And these are the criteria that we consider as R&D under the PIA 1986. Yeah. And we do give tax incentive for companies to undertake R&D activities. Next. So firstly, we encourage company to set up R&D status company. So you submit to MIDA, we go through the evaluation process, and once we endorse your company as an R&D status company, you'll be entitled to double tax deduction, as well as your clients will also entitled for double tax deduction. So the R&D service provider or R&D status can conduct R&D either for related or non-related companies, and they must generate income through their R&D activities in order to qualify for it. Next. So basically, this illustration had the advantages of having R&D status in terms of double tax deduction. I think it's clearly featured there on the screen. So basically, if you spend like 1 million ringgit a year, so you'll be entitled for double tax deduction of 2 million. Yeah, as compared to if you don't have the status, you can only enjoy based on whatever that you invested. Next. Next, please. Okay, this is basically the summary of overall incentive available. All tax incentive with the for under category R&D company, contract R&D company, in-house R&D, and as well a reinvestment. So it's all about tax incentive, tax deduction or tax rebate. Next. So basically, that's all I would like to share today about what we have in terms of facilitation and services that we provide to investors, especially in this advanced technology landscape and R&D. So you may want to browse our website, mida.gov.my, to get more information about investment opportunity in Malaysia and the assistance provided. Yeah, with that, I thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Syed Kamal, for the MIDA presentation with regards to investment promotion and facilitation by MIDA with regards to the advanced technology and high-tech sectors in Malaysia. Again, thank you very much. So I think we will move on to the second speaker, which is Mr. Muhammad Safwan Zairi from Meranti. So a brief background on Meranti as well as Mr. Safwan. So Meranti actually stands for Malaysian Research Accelerator for Technology and Innovation, which is Malaysia's central research commercialization agency that fast-tracks the development of technology innovations from ideas to impact. And among Meranti's role is to serve as a connector, incubator and catalyst to enable early-stage ideation to mature entities to commercialize and scale. So that's a brief background of Meranti. And with regards to Mr. Safwan himself, He is currently Meranti's Chief Ecosystem Development Officer and supports Meranti's developmental and sustainability mandates of fast-tracking commercialization. With more than 23 years of relevant industry experience, which he has held key management roles in various organizations, local as well as multinational corporations. He is one of the biggest advocates of Malaysia's tech startup community currently in Malaysia. So without further ado, Mr. Safwan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alif. Assalamualaikum, merhaba, gunaidin, and Eid Mubarak to my Muslim colleagues over in Istanbul. I hope you can hear me well. Yeah. So I'm hearing a bit of an echo. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. All right. So allow me to, Alif has done a very kind introduction of myself. Yeah, just call me Safwan. I am the Chief Ecosystem Development Officer for Meranti. Meranti stands for Malaysia Research Accelerator for Technology and Innovation. We were announced on the November 9, 2021. Yeah. So Alif also mentioned about ideas to impact. One of the things that Meranti wants to solve is the issue about technology commercialization. And I think it's probably similar. Yeah, I won't say the same, but similar situation in Turkey and other parts of the world as well, and country. Yeah, we have a lot of research, but again, the translation of those research into commercialized product and solution is different from one country to the other. Some are below 10%, some are above 10%, some are above 30%. Yeah. So Malaysia has the problem that we are still lagging behind, and we want to push that number, that percentage up to about the 20 percentile, yeah, in terms of our technology commercialization. And this is where Meranti came about. Yeah, we are the agency under the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation, which is our primary mandate is to accelerate ideas to impact. When we talk about ideas, we are talking about research. Impact is the commercialization of those ideas and concepts. Yeah. Okay, moving on. So I've mentioned a bit about our national aim. So in fact, Meranti, the agency is a combination of two, actually more agencies. We are number one. There is an agency by the name of Magic, which has been established in 2014, focusing on the development, upskilling, and of startup, as well as creating a vibrant ecosystem of startup. Yeah, that's Magic, and agency number one. Agency number two is called Technology Park Malaysia. Technology Park Malaysia has been around almost 26 years, and it is aimed to be a global science tech park, yeah, located in KL. And there's another agency as well by the name of Platcom, and that is an agency that is purposely designed to spur technology commercialization. Now you have these agencies together. So together we want to transform, as I've highlighted earlier, ideas to impact, research to commercialize product and solution. So the role that we play, we connect from researchers, startups, SMEs to markets, to the demand side. We also help incubate those solutions over at Meranti Park, yeah, which is located at in nearby KL, which is close to about 700 acres of land. Yeah. And we also help catalyze to bring those solutions and product abroad. And we work with what we call as the quadruple helix, which comprise of the private sector, the public sector, i.e. government, yeah, and again, private sector here, startups, SMEs, corporates, public sector being government agencies. We also work with academia, research universities, as well as not forgetting civil society. Yeah. So we believe that the supply and demand of solution and also the problem can come from any of these quadruple helix partners. So we provide over at Meranti Park an integrated infrastructure, services, and program, yeah, combined. And some of the focus area is smart manufacturing, biotech, agri-tech, smart city, green tech, as well as enabling technology like 5G. We are also cognizant of the fourth IR. Yeah, again, we do not want to do everything. We evaluate in terms of what is the need of Malaysia, also in terms of what is being demand in the at the regional as well as global level. So we have done a bit of our selection. We are looking into automation and robotics as well as biotechnology. Yeah, we're also looking into autonomous vehicle, 3D printing, and drones. I'll talk about drones a lot more later. Yeah, looking into 5G and 4D and 5D printing. Feel free to ask me questions later. I will come back. Again, we've highlighted a bit about Meranti Park, 700, about close to about 700 acres. Yeah, and this, as you can see, is broken into phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Phase 1 and phase 2 is fully developed with facilities. Phase 3 right now, close to about 300 acres, is being developed for artificial AICT and various other things. We do have presence in other states of Malaysia, in north in Perlis, yeah, and east in Raub. And right now, we are primarily located and focusing a lot of our activities in the central region, i.e. in Meranti Park itself. So in terms of location wise, for those of you who have not had the opportunity to come to Malaysia, yeah, it is just 30 minutes away from the city center. Is 30 minutes from Putrajaya, which is our government administration office. Yeah, it is 30 minutes also to our airport. Yeah, depending on how fast you drive. Yeah, of course. And again, it is quite centralized. And I want to shift gears as well into something which is very close to my heart and very dear to what I do on a day-to-day basis. Because we have technology, we have the infrastructure, but we also realize that we need programs. We need these programs to really accelerate our aspiring entrepreneurs, our researchers, the SMEs, the startups. We want to help them grow from a one-man company into a scale up. Yeah, so we do that by our programs. And if you can see here, this is something that we have tried and tested for the last 7 years under the one of the agencies I've mentioned, which is Magic. Yeah, so in Magic, as well as in some parts are also done in Technology Park Malaysia, but I'll focus more in terms of this, how we broke down into the early stage, the mid stage, and the late stage. So as you can see, there are programs relating to workshop, webinars, bootcamp. It sort of like serves to open up the early startups and aspiring startups, and as well as researchers as well. Yeah, in terms of what are the things that is happening. I have an idea, or how do I develop an idea, or I have an idea, how do I validate the idea? Yeah, or where do I go? Right now people are talking about sustainability and ESG. Yeah, so we're not doing a greenwashing of SDG and ESG. We want to be able to make our startups, our SME, to be ESG ready. The moment where they are collaborating with MNC, I would say I'm ESG ready. Yeah, and the moment they're looking for investors, and say I'm also ESG ready, because investors nowadays are very savvy. Yeah, they're not just looking for technology products which are good, but they're also looking for startups with product that cares for the environment, society, and also looks into governance as well. Yeah. So we look into partnership, and in terms of our mid to late stage, I just wanted to highlight our industry-based accelerator. Yeah, our industry-based accelerator, or we call it Global Accelerator Program, have been running for about 7 years. Every year we have about 20 to 30% allocation for international participation. Yeah, last year we received participation from Korea, among others. Yeah, and a successful drone company for that matter called Pablo Air. And also we look at one of the other things that we realize is having a product and solution is not going to guarantee that your solution is being commercialized. Yeah, people need to be to know that the product is safe, and regulators need to know that the product is safe. If any of you of our audience coming from the drone tech sector would realize that just by having drones and the system doesn't mean that you can take the drone out and suddenly start delivering things. You need to start to look into other regulatory matters as well. So we have a program called the National Technology and Innovation Sandbox, yeah, or NTIS for short. The intention is that we want to work with researchers and companies with technology readiness level 6 and above, which means you already have a prototype, but what you're now looking for a test site. Yeah, and so we can then put them into our test site, and then we help them commercialize, accelerate, link them up to the relevant agencies and partners, and as well as give them funding as well. Yeah, and then we push them in terms of, we can even push them into go to regional as well as global with our programs. Yeah, there's one program at the bottom there you see market access, which is global market fit, and my startup hub. My startup hub is something that our friends from Turkey would be interested in, because and it is our intention to bring the startups from other parts of the world to Malaysia. Yeah, and I think right now that we have the facilities over at Meranti Park is something that I would invite our friends in Turkey to look into my startup hub program, to look at, and also Meranti Park as the opportunity for you to set up office space facilities and access the ASEAN market. This is a quick overview in terms of our National Technology Innovation Sandbox. As the name suggests, it is a safe place for you to test your product and solution. Yeah, but we did it in mind. Malaysia launched this to address some of the issues that we have, which is how do we commercialize, accelerate local innovation to market. This is on the bottom left hand side. How do we establish test bed for Advantech? Because without addressing the safety, public safety, your product will not be commercialized. And of course, how do we impact people's quality of life? So that were the main goals. And right now, as of today, if you can see in the pie chart, focus has been in two specific areas. One, we call it the technology drivers, is in the advanced intelligence system. Advanced material has been very popular for the last 1.5 years. And on the socio-economic sector side, you will see the application into number one is medical and healthcare. Agriculture and forestry is also very in demand, and smart engineering. Yeah, we have launched 8 sandbox for those testing to take place. There's that is demonstrated on the right hand side. It covers sandbox, smart cities, sports, education. I think I will not go into detail, but for those as well, not startup, but looking to partner or offer your services or your subject matter expertise, we have what we call as the innovation acceleration network partners. Yeah, you can see you can offer the sandbox, you can be the subject matter expert, you can offer the market access, yeah, and also advise on regulatory partners as well. Yeah, so just very quickly running through some of the things that we're doing today in terms of our living lab. Some of the things we're looking into: bioscience, we're looking into 5G labs, drone tech living lab, I'll go into deeper later, and autonomous vehicle as well. So these are already work starting on the ground. As for the AV lab, we have 12 kilometers of road that we are dedicated in Meranti Park, yeah, that we can actually do testing. It is not public road. It is a lot safer for us to do our testing there. So there's a lot of things that we're planning to do. Some of the companies there are agencies, the Malaysian agencies that we're working with. But of course, we're more than happy to work with the Turkish startups and SMEs, as well as also, to become hopefully a sister global tech park to Istanbul Technopark. Yeah. Going deeper into Living Lab, it's amazing how Turkey has led in the area of drone. Is something that I envy. Yeah, so we want to emulate that. Area 57 is also a site in Meranti Park. Why 57? Well, there's a few reasons. 57 is also our independence year for Malaysia, but more importantly, the 5 represents the acreage, the size of the land where we are going to build our center of excellence. 7 is relating to services that we want to conduct over at Area 57, which is research, development, testing, certification, manufacturing, commercialization, maintenance, yeah, in Area 57, which is a drone tech center of excellence. There are other things that we are doing as well. We certainly invite expertise, local, regional, and global to collaborate with us, yeah, to look at regulatory matters, to look in terms of how do we address technology for the best impact into the relevant socio-economic sectors. Yeah. Some plans that we have big dreams. We know we need to have an impact to the economy as well as creation of jobs. So we have this ecosystem action plan in place. We want to be able to help contribute towards Malaysia's GDP. Yeah. in the tune of ringgit Malaysia 50.71 billion by 2030, and also to create 100,000 high-skilled jobs by that time as well. To give you some assurance, we have done an ecosystem mapping. The ecosystem is vibrant. You have regulators, you got service providers, you got universities. I do invite our partners from Istanbul Technopark to have a look again in terms of the ecosystem, and we're replicating the same for all our living labs as well. Autonomous vehicle, 5G. So I suppose the last thing I would like to leave the audience, my friends from Turkey, is that leverage on Meranti, make Meranti your preferred partner in terms of to access Malaysia's R&D and CNI ecosystem network. For you to work with research universities, research institution. And the opportunity to test bed your opportunities and living lab over at Area 57 or our 12 kilometers of autonomous vehicle roads. Our programs like the NTIS, our sandbox program, our accelerator program, our other programs like Digital Academy, Bootcamp, Design Thinking, which is available. And we also have something similar to Istanbul Technopark, which is what we don't call it a technology transfer office, but we do offer IP and technology commercialization services as well. Yeah. And again, we are open for business. We are 700 acres of land, phase 1, phase 2, with buildings, with offices available for you to come in and make it your home, your second home. Yeah. And I think, just a picture on the right-hand side is, it's not just words, not just talk. We already signed an MOU with 5 leading research universities. We are ready. We are open for business. I think Mr. Syed Kamal has mentioned about the incentive Malaysia can offer. And these are some of the other programs that Meranti can offer to you. Yeah. So I think I shall end there. If there are any questions, we have a Q&A session later. More than happy to take any queries that you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Safwan, for the comprehensive presentation on the overview and business opportunities, especially with regards to Meranti in Malaysia. So thank you very much. So I think there will be questions. I think what we have done is we have collected questions beforehand from the participating companies, which we will ask to each speakers during the Q&A session later. So for the last but not least, we will have the third speaker and presentation for today, which is Mr. Renhil from Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad. So a brief background on Mr. Renhil, as well as Malaysia Airports. I think we start with Malaysia Airports first. Malaysia Airports is one of the world's largest airport operator groups. We manage and operate 39 airports in Malaysia. As some of you might know, the Istanbul Sabiha Gökçen International Airport in Turkey, Istanbul. We are also listed on the main market Malaysia since 1999, with market cap of 9.9 billion ringgit Malaysia as at 2021. Malaysia Airports also is focusing on an integrated and synergistic off-terminal real estate development and solutions via the Aeropolis initiative or project or branding, which we focus on air cargo, aerospace and aviation, and MICE and leisure clusters, which are all aligned to national blueprints and aspiration towards creating high technology-driven and high-skilled capabilities. And the airports that we are focusing on for this Aeropolis project will be at Kuala Lumpur International Airport as well as Subang Airport. So a brief background or biodata of Mr. Renhil next. Mr. Renhil has over 18 years of professional experience, having assumed various roles and responsibilities around transformation management, international aerospace park development, group corporate planning and land development. And today, as the head of Aeropolis, Mr. Renhil drives the strategy and real estate solutions and development activities of the off-terminal assets for the group. And just to highlight also, he has executed numerous high-impact projects with participation of quality foreign and local investments, such as the Mitsui Outlet Park in KLIA or Kuala Lumpur International Airport, as well as the China Aeropolis E-World Trade Platform Hub, also at KLIA. So without further ado, I would invite to present his presentation. The floor is yours, Mr. Renhil. I will share the slides for Malaysia Airports Holdings presentation. Yep. So everything can everyone see the slides? All right, great. Thank you. So Mr. Renhil, over to you.
Thank you, Olive. Thank you and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go straight into our presentation. So firstly, I think Alif shared a little bit about what Malaysia Airports. Yes, we are an airport operator. We have presence in Istanbul, but beyond being an airport operator, we also have got a fairly large ecosystem that we are developing around our airports, concentrated on a few sectors today, which is aerospace, aviation, cargo, and logistics. But moving forward, we see a few more sectors that we could probably facilitate. And I think that's why we are relevant in this discussion. We're also relevant because, as you would have heard from Meranti, in so far as technological facilitation, R&D facilitation, we see ourselves as a potential for operationalizing some of these technology outputs and business plans and all that. So if I could go to the next slide. So for the purpose of presentation, I will focus a little bit more on the Subang Airport. However, Subang Airport is in the Klang Valley, which is in the capital city of Malaysia. And in the capital city of Malaysia, we have got two airports, in fact, within a 50-kilometer distance from each other. The KLIA airport is the larger airport with a huge 100 square kilometers around it. And the Subang airport is a little bit more of a former international airport that we now use as a business aviation hub. Could we go to the next slide? So in terms of what we've done, as I mentioned, beyond just being an airport operator, the ecosystem that we've developed is premised on our partnerships with global champions. So be it Alibaba from China, be it Lazada from Southeast Asia, DHL, we have got a lot of aerospace anchors from the manufacturers such as Spirit Aerosystems, Senior Aerospace, to MRO operators. These are the anchors that we've been able to pull and create their base. Some of them are regional based for Southeast Asia, for Asia Pacific, at our airports here today. Next slide. So just if I were to focus on Subang Airport, today itself, Subang is actually an important node in the entire aerospace ecosystem. It is an important node in the entire aircraft manufacturing ecosystem, where you have got parts that are being manufactured or assembled in Subang Airport, and these parts are then exported into Europe to the likes of an Airbus or also the likes of a Boeing in the US. So parts here are being manufactured, assembled in full-on parts, and then it's being delivered to these countries. Beyond the manufacturing and assembly, we also have got a comprehensive MRO hub across airframe MRO, engine, and also components across various types. Again, anchored by global players, supported very well, very ably by our local ecosystem players. Next. And moving forward, we've got a plan to revitalize, regenerate the airport. And in regeneration of the airport, we understand that the aerospace industry is very much at the forefront of the IR 4.0 adoption. And that's quite high up in our agenda in terms of how we deliver this regeneration project. Next. So we are looking at the aerospace ecosystem being expanded. We are also looking at business aviation as well as the city airport. And within this, there is a sector that we are quite interested to see expand further, and that is under the new aviation technologies, specifically the advanced air mobility, which I will touch a little bit more in later slides. Next. We've also been able to make ready sort of a 60-odd acre development for an aerotech park. We already have a few players there. Largely, these are aerospace-related players that actually do their productions, assembly, or even MRO. So that's also pretty much prepared. We've got a few more lots that we are working out with certain tenants to bring them on board. Next. And of course, it's important that we work with various government-related agencies, ministries, facilitators, and we've also got reach with some global operators in terms of technology parks and all that. And I think that's also quite important. Further than that, we've also got support and engagements, collaborations with associations and industry associations, chambers of commerce and all that in order to bring them all together. Next. Coming back to the theme of what I wanted to highlight about how we operationalize research and technology adoption in the airport. I'll give you an example. We have a partner with us, which is AMIC, the Aerospace Malaysia Innovation Center. This is a collaboration, this is an establishment led by the government of Malaysia, but it also has leading aerospace and aerospace players. You have got the likes of Rolls-Royce and Airbus, and you've also got local players being part of this establishment. And what AMIC does is basically undertake research and technology, undertake problem solving, solution finding for some of our tenants here in Subang Airport. So the typical research and technology teams that they are focused on includes the Factory of the Future, training programs of the future, and also, of course, sustainable aviation. And they have delivered over 50 projects amounting to over 35 million ringgit Malaysia in value. And this value here could be from largely cost savings or sometimes also a little bit of revenue generation in terms of what they've been able to undertake on behalf of some of the players and operators in Subang. Next. So here is an example of how AMIC, along with the industry and academia, collaborate with our operators in Subang Airport, where they've been able to, so some of the example of projects include an automated guided painter, also a laser welding machine, virtual reality immersive systems for training in the aerospace manufacturing sectors. So these are example of projects that worked hand in hand with our operators in Subang Airport. Next. The other example of operationalizing a technology would be in the area of advanced air mobility. You heard quite a bit from my colleague Safwan talking about drone technology. We have got a partnership right now with the likes of Volocopter and Skyports, where we are actually exploring Subang Airport to be a first base of a air taxi, if you will, flight. And we are working towards making that commercially viable within the next 3 to 5 years. Next slide. So one of the reasons why we chose the airport is because we see it as a potential last mile, whereby we would see passengers, especially the higher end passengers, flying into Subang Airport, taking on an air taxi from the airport into key nodes around the city center within a 25-kilometer radius and all that. So we're working with both the Skyports would be basically a provider of the infrastructure, which is basically the ports, the landing ports, if you will. And we are, in this case, Volocopter, but at the same time, we are also agnostic to any player that would want to come in and utilize this as a hub. Next slide. So beyond just operationalizing for an air taxi operations, we would also be welcoming any of these players to position their research technology, position also assembly as well as aftermarkets, namely MRO, within our location, within the industry park that I mentioned just now. So what you will be able to see at Subang Airport would be an end-to-end from research, technology, adoption, manufacturing, assembly, MRO, as well as operationalizing it within a 25-kilometer radius from the airport. Next. So those are two examples that I shared about we operationalize technology with our partners. One is well mature, the other one is very much in the planning stage. And I think in this case, we would welcome further discussions with firms within the Istanbul Technopark, along with our colleagues from Emranti and also MIDA, and we'll welcome further discussion. Moving forward, I think just to share also, we are in our final stages of undertaking a master planning for KLIA, and we would be able to then make even more space available. And that space will then cater to technology centers or technology areas beyond just aviation and aerospace. So that's next in line, but I will focus today very much on what we've done today. With that, I thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Renhil, for your presentation. So I believe, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard 3 presentations from 3 speakers, which I hope and trust can give you a holistic overview of what are the focus sectors, opportunities, and potential collaborations that can be done between Turkish firms in Technopark Istanbul, the country as a whole. So we move on to the next section of our webinar, which is actually the final section, which is the Q&A section. As I have mentioned previously, we have collected questions from the who have registered for this webinar. So I think what we will do, we will give one question each to each speaker, and then for them to answer. So I think if everyone is okay, we will go with the order of the presentation, which Mr. Syed Kamal kick off the presentation. So I will kick off the question to Mr. Syed Kamal for his answer. So the question, I think is a straightforward question, which states, do you or do Malaysia invest in startups in general? Perhaps Mr. Syed Kamal can.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alif. Yes, we do, through government bodies as well as through private entities. We do invest in startup because startup is very important to set up the foundation of the technology. We need to create the ecosystem that support the development of advanced technology in Malaysia, and at the same time also to be part of the supply chain for the multinational or foreign companies that are investing in Malaysia. So we do support the development of startup in Malaysia, either through government, various agencies, as well as through private equity and venture capital firms that we have within our ecosystem. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Syed Kamal, for the answer. So now I move on to there are a couple of questions for Mr. Safwan. So the first one, so I think I will combine it together, which the question sounds like, what opportunities do you offer internationally to the entrepreneurs you include in your acceleration programs, and what are the advantages that you offer to those entrepreneurs? Over to you, Mr. Safwan.
Thanks, Alif. Good question. Thank you so much for asking. So over at Maranti, we have, as we highlighted in terms of, one is the programs. Yeah, the programs, the upskilling, developmental programs targeting towards aspiring entrepreneurs, startups, SMEs, as well as scale-ups, going towards scale-up as well. At the same time, also being located in a 700-acre land with facilities and infra. We do have offices, we do have living labs that we're building. Yeah, so I think combined, essentially we have both the programs as well as the infra that we can offer to our friends over in Istanbul Technopark, or over in Turkey, who was thinking of expanding their base into ASEAN. Yeah, in terms of program wise, again, it caters to researchers as well. I forgot to mention. Yeah, in case you're a researcher in any of the universities and you're reaching out because you see that your product have an opportunity to be commercialized, we'd be interested to talk to you as well. We can also help partner you with and connect you. One of the role that we do is to connect between, let's say, a researcher to a startup or an SME to help you develop. Yeah, if let's say you want to focus on doing research and you're not capable of doing the entrepreneur part, the business development part. Yeah, so we also help incubate as well. I've shared earlier about Area 57, where we have 5 acres of land, 7 services that we are planning to offer. But again, I would like to put in context of what we plan, what we have in plan. The 5 acres of land that you see in terms of where you do your testing, development, and whatnot will access to 700 acres of land where the implementation can take place. Yeah, let's say you're developing a drone solution for security monitoring, surveillance, and whatnot. Yeah, you develop in 5 acre land, you take off in a 5 acre land, but you can implement it in the 700 acre land Meranti Park that we have. I mean, this is an opportunity for you to test your product, but also an opportunity for you to collaborate with local startups and local research universities as well. Yeah. I think in terms of what they call that partnership as well. Again, partnership towards partnership with corporates, multinationals located in Meranti Park as well as in vicinity area of Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia as well. We are working with a large number of corporates, not just in the area of the Living Lab, but we're also expanding some of the topics I mentioned earlier regarding ESG. Yeah. So I think these are some of the programs that you can take advantage of that we offer. Unfortunately, our Global Accelerator program, we've just finished off our cohort number 5. We'll probably we'll open again for next year. But for now, there are other programs that you feel free to drop us a link, a note in terms of what are your interests. I'm more than happy to link you up with the relevant teams. Back to you, Ali.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Safwan, for your answer and explanation with regards, especially with regards to the GAP Global Accelerator Program at the Meranti. So I think move on. I think we have another question, pre-collected question. This time is for Mr. Renhill. I think the question states that what advantage does being next to the airport provide to entrepreneurs or startups? And is Malaysia Airport's focus sector only on aviation? Yep, that's the question. Over to you, Mr. Rendell.
So the question is, what's the benefit of an entrepreneur being established at the airport? So actually, in strictest of sense, probably nothing much. But in this case, I think the context here is what I've mentioned earlier. It's not just an airport, but it's really the ecosystem that we have developed around the airport. So in the case of Subang, it's an ecosystem that includes a lot of aerospace and aviation. In the case of KLIA, it's logistics focus, but our next stage would be further than an aviation, where we will be looking at other research and technology kind of clusters as well, given the fact that we've got a good land bank, given the fact that we've got good connectivity at both the sites, given also the fact that when I say connectivity, it's both infrastructure, roads, also the internet connectivity and all that. So I think the next stage, of course, is then how do we operationalize those technologies and move into production, move into manufacturing, move into sub-assemblies or even MRO. And this is what I think we'll be able to then facilitate and accommodate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rendell, for the explanation. And I think we have done 3 questions. We still have a bit more time. So there's one question that came in from YouTube, which I think I will read out the question, and I think it's open to any of the speakers to share your thoughts or information with regards to the question. So the question is, let me pull it up. Yep. It says from Miss Mehtab Gancher. So the question is, could you please give information about current status and further plans on chip manufacturing in Malaysia. Thank you. So I open this to either Maida or Meranti to share some thoughts on the future, the current status and further plans on chip manufacturing sector in Malaysia. Yeah, Mr. Said, sorry, you're on mute. Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me? All right.
Okay.
Okay, I think chips manufacturing is as part of the entire E&E and semiconductor ecosystem. This is something that we really put high emphasis from the government point of view. That's why Northern Region, Penang, Kedah is the key cluster for the E&E and the semiconductor. So chip production is part of it. And going forward, we are still promoting this, and we are still bringing the foreign partners to come in to join with the local companies to develop. So there's a growth potential here for the chip manufacturing in Malaysia, and it's one of the focus area that government really push and focus on in terms of the development in Malaysia. The huge potential.
All right, thank you, Mr. Said. I think for the sharing of the insights, and hopefully that answers the question for Miss Mehta.
By the way, anytime
that should be the
she
final
can
question to end the Q&A session. So
by the way, anytime he or
sorry,
she can.
Mr. Said, are you saying anything?
Yeah. By the way, anytime he or she can write to us to get more info or insight into this E&E semiconductor industry in Malaysia, so that we can share all those pertinent things that he or she needs to know.
All right, certainly. Yep.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Said. I think we will also circulate the presentations today to all the participants, as well as contact details. I believe contact details are included in the presentation. So all participants here listening in, feel free to reach out to any of the speakers here for further discussions and questions if you have any. So again, I think this should be the end of the Q&A session. I would like to thank Mr. Safwan, Mr. Syed Kamal, Mr. Renil for your time and for your sharing. Before I will also, before we formally finish this presentation, I will pass it back to Technopark Istanbul, Mr. Ozan. And before that, before I pass back to Mr. Ozan, on behalf of all the Malaysian speakers, we thank Technopark Istanbul for this opportunity, and we look forward to have further collaborative programs or webinars that can be mutually beneficial for both countries in the future. So with that, Tashako Adrim, Gerushurus, and over to you, Mr. Ozan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed. I would like to thank all the participants for that webinar. I hope that we can do it again soon sometime. Thank you all, and see you again soon. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.